Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin, host of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It is Tuesday, August the 22nd, and I have the dynamic duo with me today, Mr. Sean Higgs of winningfreepicks.com and gamblersworld.net, and Mr. Jesse Schule from jesseschule.com and gamblersworld.net. By the way, folks, we are sponsored and powered by gamblersworld.com and gamblersworld.net. Our .com site is all the videos, and our .net site is where you'll find 10 of the finest handicappers anywhere in the country today, which reminds me of this, folks. From now until the 30th of August, any subscription plan, including the football subscription plans, $100 off the normal price. Once it gets to the 31st of August, that price is going to go up. So jump in. Any one of us right here, in addition to the other 7 great experts on the site, you're going to get $100 off our subscription plans. College football, NFL, combination college football, NFL, all 3 of those, whatever you choose, you're going to get $100 off. You don't want to miss that, and take advantage of that discount offer. It's our guys have shown over the course of their careers, and they've all been around for a while, that they do extremely well during both college football and the NFL, and will make you a profit over the long haul if you stick with them. All right, let's get to saying hello here. Mr. Sean Higgs, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. No complaints. We got college football on Saturday, NFL's, well, not 2 weeks away. And I don't know. Baseball's all right. 48-36 run. So I'm happy. Happy August.
Very good. Jesse, how are you, my man?
I'm pretty happy, Ross. It's been a disappointing summer so far for me, but it's been a decent August, coming off a 2-0 Monday, and football is right around the corner, and that's really the important thing to focus on right now.
Well, I took it on the chin last night, boys. I had Baltimore Ravens on the money line, -125, NFL preseason game of the year. I lose the game.
Did you have any choice, Ross? Did you have any choice?
Yeah, I saw your comment, and of course that crossed my mind. But I also thought about your other comment that, how could you fade Baltimore at that short of a number with the streak they had? And look, here's the thing. I mean, the Ravens' second-team defense was playing Washington's first-team offense. When they got out of the half only down 3, as good as Sam Howell played, I felt pretty confident, But Jake Fromm came in and led them to a comeback, and they scored 10 points in the last 4 minutes of the game, or 9 points in the last 8 minutes of the game to pull out a 29-28 win, field goal with 12 seconds to go. It happens. But anyway, it's been a great
Ross,
NFL.
I mean, yeah. At that, right, it closed to 1.5, so you're laying 120, 130th. Why don't you take the Ravens at that? They lose on the last second. Redskins at 3.5 or 4, sure. You look at the Redskins like, I'll take Washington at that price. Can the streak end? But I don't disagree with that. 120 with a team, and they were right there. 12-second field goal. That's how you go down. Tough.
Yeah, it is. We win some like that too, though, Sean. I mean, I started the week with that Cleveland debacle where
18-18.
Caden York missed 2 field goals with 2 minutes to go. One got he got a second try after an offside call, and then he missed again. So in any event, I can't complain, buddy. 6-3 in the NFL preseason this year, and then you know what my numbers are since 2010 and such. But the NFL preseason just about over. College football is what we're talking today, boys, and I'm excited to do so. Jesse's going to be looking at the Nebraska-Minnesota game. Sean, Florida and Utah, and yours truly will be talking NC State and UConn. All 3 of those games go in week 1 on Thursday, August 31st. So keep that in mind, folks. It's going to be a while before these games go off. Not that far away, right? What are we talking? 9 days. So depending on when you view this video, again, we're recording on Tuesday the 22nd. Depending on when you view this video, these lines are subject to change. So please take that in mind. So let's get right to it. Sean, a really interesting battle here, Utah and Florida. We saw some line movement here having to do with a quarterback. And also the fact that Utah is going to be looking to revenge last year's loss at Florida, which was, I think, one of 3 losses they suffered all year long. But in any event, the Utes look like, on paper, one of the best teams in the country. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, we have Anthony Richardson scores a touchdown. What, about a minute and a half left last year at the Swamp, and then Cam comes down. Cam Rice, I think he threw a pick in the end zone or just missed intercept something late. They lose, tough one there. I got to tell you, when this line came out, I'm like, sign me up for Utah here. The line was open at like a 9.5. Then you hear Cam Rising hasn't recovered from his injury. It's crashed now to a 4.5. I'm going to go under this total because the total still sitting at a 45.5 out there. I'm going under sidewise. Listen, at 9, 7, 8, you'd say, all right, take a shot on Florida. We don't know if Cam's playing, right? And that guy's a pretty good quarterback. He's out. It totally changes the aspect. I think Utah's second-string quarterback is also out. They're backups, so they might be going with a third stringer here. And Florida themselves, you're bringing in a new – I don't want to say that. I mean, last year they had a top 5 NFL draft pick. They won, 6 and 7? Okay, it might be a drop-off because he's an NFL guy. I don't know. They didn't win games with him. So, I mean, I'm still kind of shocked he was named the starter. That's a whole nother – that's a rant for another show, Ross. But Florida will be breaking in a new quarterback themselves. I'm going to go under here. Billy Napier, I think, is a little bit on the hot seat. You know, they need to kind of win. But 46 with backup quarterbacks going, give me the under here.
Yeah, it seems like all Florida head coaches in recent years have been on the hot seat, Sean. You know, the expectations are always high there. And like we were talking about Anthony Richardson, the first round draft choice of the Indianapolis Colts. It's like you had a first round draft choice and you go 6 and 7. So, yeah, he should be on the hot seat, right?
I mean,
anyway,
but was he that good? I mean, why? Because you could throw the ball far? I don't know. Can guys catch it? Can he do anything else?
Yeah, that's why I make the comparison with him with that old LSU quarterback that the Raiders drafted real high. Yes.
Yeah, Russell throwing the ball from his knees from like the 30 through
50 yards. Yeah. Again, I don't want to – that's unfair at this point to make that comparison. Maybe the kid will get coached up in the NFL, and he's got that raw talent and physical talent and arm strength that can work at the NFL level with the proper coaching. But the jury's out on that. Anyway, Jesse, your thoughts on this game?
Well, I agree wholeheartedly about Anthony Richardson. I think that was certainly premature naming him the starter. But when it comes to this Utah game, I will point out that I went 18-2 up until the end of September last year with college football. So I only had 2 losses in the first month and a week or first 5 weeks of football. One of them was Utah at Florida. And yes, it was an interception in the end zone. It was reminiscent to the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl interception. It was a heartbreaker, but when you're 18-2 to start the season, you can't complain too much about things like that. Revenge spot for Utah. I love the Utes here. I'm a guy that doesn't mind betting on backup quarterbacks, trusting in the coaching staff to recruit players that can come in and fit the system. Utah's the kind of team. Obviously, I like the coach. Whittingham's done a great job there. They've got solid defense, solid tight ends, offensive line, running game. They've got in my opinion, they've got the tools to overcome a loss at quarterback, get a guy in there to be a game manager, and win a big revenge game, a home opener against a Florida team that I think has more holes. So I like Utah here.
And I agree. I agree with Jesse. I agree with Sean. Again, I'm not trying to just jump on the bandwagon, but I mean, the under pick, if you think about it, Utah, they're going to tailor a game plan to a third string quarterback, which means to me that they're going to be run oriented. And we know that they play solid defense, especially at home. And I love their head coach, and he's going to come up with a game plan that, like Jesse just alluded to, is going to make his third string quarterback a manager and ask him not to lose the game. And he doesn't have to go out there and win the game by himself, which would lead to inexperience and errors. So in any event, let's get to the next game at hand. And Jesse's game, Nebraska at Minnesota, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, the 30th of August. And Jesse, 31st of August. Right now, Minnesota, 7.5-point favorite, 45. I know that you were anxious to talk about this game last week when we were talking off air. So I assigned it to you. So let's see what you have to say because I'm interested. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a big money move recently. Money's come in on Minnesota, and money has come in on the under. My play is going to be on the total, but I'm curious to see what we get from this Nebraska team. If you remember, they were really highly touted coming into last year, picked up 15 players in the transfer portal. A lot of those guys were high-profile transfers. They were a double-digit favorite in Ireland against Northwestern, and they ended up losing that game outright. Scott Frost kind of ran this program into the ground. Now they bring in Matt Rule. I would expect, Matt Rule to tighten things up and have a little bit more success. And they've still got a lot of tools in place. What the roster they had last year came in with such high expectations. They've still got a lot of those players. Quarterback Casey Thompson left. I never liked him anyways. Jeff Sims comes over from Georgia Tech. Quality player. He was sort of reliable at Georgia Tech. He didn't make a ton of mistakes. He did what they asked him to do. Sort of what I was saying about Utah, really. He's a guy that can come in and, manage the game for you. And maybe I'm selling him short there, but at worst, that's what I expect out of Jeff Sims. But at the end of the day, it's a new quarterback, a new system, a new coach. I don't think it's going to be flying around the field and piling up points. This is a Big Ten game between two teams that tend to go under. They've gone under in 3 of the last 4 meetings. Last year it was 20-13 for Minnesota at Nebraska. I think this could be another game where whoever scores 20 first wins. And so I'm going to take the under 45.
All right, so Nebraska, Minnesota, under 45 for Jesse Schule. And Sean, a lot of talk during the offseason around the culture at Minnesota. Not a lot of good things being said about head coach P.J. Fleck. He's sort of, let's put it lightly, he's sort of a lunatic at times. And that's putting it lightly, believe it or not. Anyway, what kind of bearing does that have on this selection, and how do you look at this game?
Yeah, I guess they don't like rowing a boat anymore in Mini Land of 1,000 Lakes up there. There's a lot of lakes to row the boat in. I got to say, Jesse brought up Kyle Whittingham as a coach, and that's what I feel about Rule. I mean, I think he's going to really help this program out. I initially liked it at like 6.5, 7, and now it's at 7.5. I'm like, now I'm confused here because I saw all those things about, the players hate Fleck, where Rule's kind of more of a, I guess a player's kind of coach, because everywhere he's gone, he's succeeded. I guess the players like him. He gets guys in there. They buy into the system. Total wise, I'm going to ride with Jesse there. I didn't really look at the total. I want to take Nebraska. I'm kind of high on Nebraska this year with him. But the 7.5, you hear me say this before. I see 7.5. I immediately think of taking Faze in that spot because everybody's gonna be like, I'll take that half point because if it lands on 7. But this was a 6.5 opener, so I'm confused on that. What is that about? Is this a fake out kind of move here? Do they want this extra 1.5 here, point or so with Nebraska? I lean Nebraska. I like Rule a lot. Yeah. Sorry, I do. I'm not gonna be ashamed to take that guy. The guy does a good job wherever he's at.
Yeah, he won
a lot of losses for Minnesota as well with the O-line and the running backs and the starting quarterback. So, I mean, they're retooling their entire offense. I forgot to mention that. But, Mo Ibrahim's gone. Tanner Morgan's gone.
Yeah, the big running back.
A bunch of big offensive linemen are gone. So it remains to be seen what they can do about that.
That's why you go to the under there, because you got a revamped offense on a home team and you got a visitor coming in with a whole new regime. Running things. So,
well, even with Tanner Morgan, they were a run-oriented offense. They didn't put up big offensive numbers. They, with the exception when they played, they came down in class a little bit. I mean, but when they played teams of their caliber and the teams in the upper echelon of college football, specifically speaking, the Big Ten, they weren't a high-powered offense. They controlled the tempo of the game. They ate the clock up to keep in the game. They played solid defense.
Speaking of the clock, we forgot to mention the new rules.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't stop after the first down, right? Did you really move that? I mean, I'm more of an under guy anyway, so I that doesn't move the needle for me. I guess you justify a point or two on some teams, but I mean, I like it.
I like it because number one, the length in games are ridiculously long in college football. I guess if you're an over player, you're not fond of this rule, but you have to make an adjustment here. So what these guys are referring to is in college football prior to this season, if you got a first down, the clock stopped until the referee was able to reset the ball. Now that's not going to be the case. It's going to be just like the NFL, and the only time the clock is going to stop is inside of 2 minutes in the first half and inside of 2 minutes in the last 2 minutes of the game on a first down. And also, obviously, when you go out of bounds as well. So is there any other rule that I'm not aware of, guys, that we're not bringing up?
That's the one I was referring to anyways.
Yeah. All right. Jeff Rule, getting back to him, Sean, this guy won at Temple. I mean, nothing against Temple, but it's not the hotbed of college football. And they don't draw real good at Temple. For whatever reason, the Philly fans there have not endeared themselves to that program in football anyway, as opposed to their basketball program. But he won there. He went to Baylor. He won there. He had them on the cusp of contending for a national championship. Yeah. And I'm not, look at how could you hold against his failures with the Carolina Panthers? I mean, he just didn't have the talent there. He didn't have a quarterback. He did in Sam Darnold his last year, but again, he had no surrounding cast. So this guy is an excellent college football coach. If he doesn't get it done this year, he will eventually turn this Nebraska program around. I will go out on a limb and say that unequivocally, this guy will have them as a Big Ten contender within the next 2 to 3 years.
They have no money. I mean, let's be honest. Nebraska backers and alum will definitely put more money into that program, and a guy can coach, so he might be. Not that he's gonna be the next Tom Osborne over there, but they should be good. But let's be honest, the Big Ten now is what, the Big 27? Like, I mean, how many teams?
Yeah,
I mean,
no kid. Yeah,
right. I mean, who knows? I mean, they're going to be good, but now it's
yeah.
Have you seen the new conference? The new conference realignment now?
Oh my goodness.
Stanford applying for the ACC and making a pitch to go to the ACC. There's something just logically wrong with a team that's from Northern California in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So
and Cal too, right? Doesn't Cal want to go there?
Yeah, that too.
And I'm shocked because how's that going to offset?
And I'm not picking on Stanford. I don't blame them because the Pac-12 is going to be a joke. It's going to be basically a rich man's Mountain West Conference eventually. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, let me get to my game.
I like the Mountain West. Now I'm gonna bash the Mountain West. I like the Mountain West.
No, I'm not bashing the Mountain West. Not at all. But it's probably going to be pretty much the equivalent of the Mountain West.
It is. The Mountain West will become the Pac-12, I think.
Basically, yeah.
And the Big Sky. Yeah. The Big Sky in college basketball probably get absorbed into there.
Yeah, yeah. So anything else you want to add, Sean?
No, I'm good, Ross.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. Anyway, I'm going to look at NC State and UConn. And this isn't the most appealing game on the board, but it's worth talking about. NC State is a 15-point road favorite in this game. The total's 47. Goes on Thursday, August the 31st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And in case you're interested, CBS Sports Network will be covering this game. NC State, I believe, opened at 17. They're down to 15 here, and I can see why. First of all, this is an NC State team that went 8-5 a season ago, lost their bowl game, only went 4-4 in the ACC, and that was a team that had extremely high expectations. They suffered a ton of losses this year to key personnel, And here's the thing: there's something called the returning production rankings, and I like to look at this early in the season. By the way, I picked that up from Playbook Magazine. Mark Lawrence, one of our handicappers on the site, puts that annual publication out. Great magazine. And we're sponsors in there, Gamblers World. So, in any event, he has something called RPR, and it's the returning production rankings. And right now, NC State is 104th nationally in terms of what they're bringing back in that specific category. Former Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong is transferred over. Devin Leary has transferred out to Kentucky. So we got a brand new quarterback. And Armstrong 2 years ago was terrific for Virginia, but he regressed a lot last year. Now, that might have had to do with personnel around him. In any event, it's a new quarterback having to adapt to a new system. North Carolina State last year, 2-3 straight up and 1-4 against the spread on the road. North Carolina State 0-5 ATS, 2-3 straight up in their last 5 with Doran as Dave Doran, that is their head coach, is an away favorite of 3.5 or greater. Keep this in mind too, folks. And I know Jesse and Sean look at this as well. 9 days after this game, the Wolfpack will be playing their home opener, and it'll be against number 13 Notre Dame. So this is definitely something to consider in terms of a look-ahead spot. Also factor in, they beat UConn last year at home 41-10, and that game wasn't even as close as the final score might indicate, as they outgained the Huskies in that game 492-160. So on top of playing Notre Dame 9 days later and having demolished this team a year ago, there is a possible letdown scenario here, especially when you're laying double digits on the road. UConn last year, I mean, as much as they've struggled as a program in recent years, Jim Mora Jr. Comes to the table, and he goes 6-6 during the regular season, and the Huskies go to a bowl game where they lost to Marshall. So that's, right there by itself is a momentum builder for that program. And then you get 18 returning starters for UConn, and they're number 9 nationally in returning production ranking. UConn also last year won 5-6 at home. And I just, look, I'm not going to predict an outright upset here. And on paper, North Carolina State is far and away the more talented team. But I just think the situation sets up nicely for UConn to give North Carolina State a more difficult time than they ordinarily would in this spot. And I like UConn here plus the 15 over North Carolina State. Jesse?
I agree, Ross. I like UConn as an underdog. I did play them several times near the end of last season. I was certainly rooting for them to get to that bowl game. I will say, though, about Brendan Armstrong, I think his regression, I will blame that on his offensive line. They didn't give him any time last year.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. But then again, how long is it going to take him to get acclimated to a new system? And again, it's not about Brendan Armstrong more than it is a specific spot. Sean, I mean, I know you like to look ahead situations. Sometimes we can overvalue that when we take a look at a game, but in this particular instance, do we ignore that look ahead situation because it's a team's season opener and you should be ready to play in your season opener or not?
Well, you should be ready to play, but let's be honest, you're going to come out and throw every trick out here for Notre Dame to catch you on film. No, you want to leave some in reserve to surprise the Irish next week at home. And again, I'd love for everybody to have 17 here with UConn, but 15 is just as good. They were 9-3 against the number last year. You don't think they're chomping at the bit here to their home opener to get a big chunk of points? They're going to be competitive. And as you said, you're breaking in a new kind of quarterback here with Carolina, and you have the Irish on deck. They're going to look at this game like, we beat them 41-10 last year. It's UConn. We're 2 touchdown favorites. Whatever. Maybe they have a nice first half here, right? Maybe it's a nice Wolfpack first half. I don't know. I don't think so. I like the points. I like the points with you. I mean, he changed that. I mean, who thought they were going to win 6 games last year? I mean, look at some of the spreads in this game. They were like 28-point dogs to open at Utah State, and they actually had the lead in that game, I think. Or was kind of maybe they didn't. Maybe they got up 10-0 early and got behind. But listen, they cover games. I mean, they're always a double-digit dog.
Yeah, and Jim Mora Jr. is an excellent head coach. I know he failed miserably at UCLA, but not as much pressure at UConn. Nobody expects him to win there. The other point is you're looking at playing Notre Dame in 2 weeks or 9 days in your home opener, one of the iconic college football programs in the country, and now you have to travel before that 9 days earlier to play in Storrs, Connecticut. Now, when you play Connecticut in basketball, that's another story. I mean, obviously they won the national championship last year, right? And there's going to be 15 to 17,000 people watching the game. It's not like UConn is a huge draw. Yeah, exactly. So, Jesse, I mean, again, before we get to our promos, your thoughts. Again, I'm sure this is not going to be the first time nor the last time that we bring this up, but the look ahead situation. Is it too early to say they may be looking ahead? And why I say that again is what I specifically tried to say to Sean is it's their season opener. Or do we say, you know what, it doesn't matter if it's their season opener. There's a good chance this is going to be a flat spot.
Well, like Sean said, they're certainly not going to want to put anything out there that Notre Dame can see on film. That's a fact. We know that to be the case. I'll bring up another look-ahead spot that I'm looking at, and it's kind of the antithesis of this. It's Hawaii opening at Vandy, but then their home opener is just 6 days later across the country. Huge travel schedule, and they're a big underdog anyways. So if they're losing by 15 or 20 at the half, I kind of see Hawaii just packing this in and saying, we're going to regroup. We got our home opener in 6 days.
Against a team that's favored to win 2 games this year, Stanford's going to be terrible too. So they might think they can.
Yeah, I mean, a winnable game, right? A game that they can compete.
It's only a 9-point spread in week 2. Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, they're only a 9-point home underdog as we speak right now in week 2 because that line is out. By the way, I took Vanderbilt yesterday on the show as my free pick, so I agree with you guys, obviously, on that. So, but that's an extremely good point, Jesse. Thank you. All right, so let's get to what we got coming up on tap. We'll start with Jesse. Tell the folks how you've been doing of late and what you're looking forward to this week, maybe in baseball or any hot streaks, or what you're looking at in week 0 in college football on Saturday, where there's 7 games on the card.
Well, like I said, it's been a decent August for me. It's been a pretty good last 7 days. Really looking forward to the football. I've got a couple games up already, including my AFC North game of the year in week 1. I come into the final week of the NFL preseason, 10-1 with my last 11 NFL preseason. I probably only have 1 game in the final week, but hopefully it's another good one. And, see me at gamblersworld.net and come see me at jesseschule.com. You'll be glad that you did.
Yeah, and the other thing, folks, this guy is multi-talented. He started the show outside on his patio with an ocean backdrop or mountain backdrop, and he said, "To hell with it! I can't stand listening to Ross talk too long." And I'll put Sean in my earplug, and I'm coming in the house, honey. And now he's sitting down in his living room. So you get it all here on the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Anyway, Sean, enough of that. You've been in the same spot all day. So what do you think about what you got going on this week?
I don't know if I'm going to have any NFL X this week. I thought my NFL, for me, like handicapping this year, it was a little more difficult with the way some of these coaches approach things a little bit. And like Josh Fields doesn't play a whole game. Like, is he playing in week 3? Like, how do you? I could take out. I don't have to bet it. You don't have to bet games, folks, just because it's a NFL preseason game. But college football, I'm excited about. 15 college football games posted. I got lined up already. That seems like a lot. There's 94 games, folks, in week 0 and week 1. So it's not like I like to fire away. 8 NFL for week 1 up. You can check those out. They're on the Gamblers World site. Go right over there, get them. I haven't put the packages up yet because I usually do like 3 packs. I try to get those going, but they'll be there. They'll be there shortly. Midday money, 7 days a week. Go in there. Plenty of free picks there as well. College, NFL, Major League Baseball. No WNBA, although Jesse sometimes comes in and agrees with some of the soccer picks people put out. There is some soccer in there from
Yeah, he
viewers,
won yesterday in soccer. Would you have Arsenal yesterday was a winner, right? So,
they got a red card with 10 minutes left to go. It was quite dicey at the end there, but they did hang on for the 1-0 win.
Never in doubt, Jesse.
I don't know about you, Ross, but Sean makes me feel terrible about myself when he tells me he's got 17 college football games up and 8 NFL games up already.
Man.
I mean, what have I been doing?
Yeah, he's a volume guy to start with,
Yeah. So we're definitely different. Our approaches. I'm a better at heart, and I try to tell it's like I'm a better. So price per pick, you're gonna buy a package, a weekly thing for me. You're gonna get games. You might like some, you might not like
ready
others.
To fire away, but also be disciplined enough to put a money management system in place. And
that's a hard thing for
answer
people.
On what Sean recommends is money management. It starts with what your gambling bankroll is, folks. So that's the key thing. When we say gambling bankroll, we're not talking about your kids' college tuition fund. We're not talking about your money that you put away for your household bills. We're talking about if he was to lose 30 games in a row, okay, and it dissipated your bankroll, is it going to change your quality of life? So a lot has to do with that, and we'll go further into detail with that on another show when it comes to money management. But I'm glad that subject came up because he's a volume handicapper. And by the way, folks, Sean went 64% last year in the NFL, and he gave a ton of picks out. Not only was he a volume handicapper, he had a high percentage rate. So again, you can get his NFL annual package right now at gamblersworld.net and get $100 off that package. And Jesse, like he just alluded to, 18-2 during September in college football last year, first 3 weeks. You can get his college football
until October 1st. I went into October 18-2 with my first 20 plays.
If you don't want to get his entire season, get a 30-day package. We'll give you $100 off. There you go.
18-2. That's one Saturday for Sean.
Yeah, it's
not that crazy.
Your NFL too in September was real good, if I recall, right, Jesse?
Yeah, 18-2.
NFL or college football?
Both.
18-2 combined, or 18-2 each?
No, each. I know it's hard to believe. I can send you the screenshots. I'll post them on Twitter.
No,
but yeah. 18-2.
I can tell you this:
NFL
there's
and
nobody
college.
on the show that gives out fake records, and the one person who would is not with us. So,
and I want everybody to know I'm not promising to do that again this September. I'm gonna certainly try to do that, but it's something that we don't expect that every month for sure.
Yeah. So I could tell you, according to Sports Capping, who does a fabulous job of monitoring our games, I'm over 65% in the NFL in the month of September since 2010. Look, if you're going to hit the NFL, you got to hit them early because as the season progresses, the lines get sharper. And then there's a guy like Sean who just, he doesn't care. He just keeps firing away volume, and he had a career year in the NFL. I don't think Sean will tell you.
I say that all the time.
But
I'll be happy with 55%, folks. I mean, you should be too.
As being a volume player,
that is
55% will make you a lot of money. Right.
But the perception, Ross, from people nowadays, like there's so many channel stuff, like they're accustomed to like, oh, you're not 70%. Like it's just irrational to think that you're going to hit 65, 70% in any sport. It's not like
that goes back
to
the
game and doubling up. Like, oh, look at my double up system. I'm 75-1. Nah, we don't.
Well, we know a guy like that. So anyway, at the end of the day, I mean, it goes back to the phone salesman mentality. They're telling you what you want to hear. So when you're dealing with a sports a sports handicapper, a betting expert, make sure you do your homework, folks. We have a thing called the internet these days. It's not like it was 30 years ago where there was no checks and balances. Do a Google search. You could do a Google search on all of us. There's always somebody who's going to have something bad to say, but if the majority of what you're getting back is positive feedback on a specific handicapper, and you could find documentation of his records that he's claiming he has, then you're good to go. And I could assure you,
I got a question for Sean.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
Sean, you played about 200 NFL games last year. Of those 200 games, how many of them do you think you gave out on your Look Ahead Lines show?
If I played 200, I probably gave out 220 on Look Ahead Lines.
Well, if that is an incentive to watch Sean's Look Ahead Lines show, I don't know what is.
I thought you were going to ask me if I like Ross mentioned Google, or should you use Bing? I thought you were going to ask me my perception on
no.
for search engines.
I just think you should promote your Look Ahead Lines show, because I think that's the best bang for your buck for listeners, for customers out there. I mean, Sean's given away his leans for every week in the NFL late on a Sunday night. I mean, if you're not tuning into that, you don't know what you're missing.
And the fact people don't even bet it. They're like, I can't bet that. And they'd say that. Oh no, I'm not going to bet it now. No, why would I bet it today? Yeah. Wait until the pick show's on Sunday to bet it, when the line goes from 6 to 3.5. That's a much better thing to do. Whatever.
There you have it. I mean, again, it's a matter of philosophy. So I'm not an early guy. I don't wait to Sunday morning, but usually my NFL's up by Friday at the latest. And
exactly. And
Russ, football, yeah,
you kind of like things. You see the lines come out, you kind of lean that way, right? You kind of like some things, and short of a major injury. But for me, it's like short of the quarterback being knocked out or a hurricane coming in where it's going to be wind and craziness. I mean, I don't really think losing. Let's say you lose 3 offensive linemen. Like, what is really going to change your opinion? I said that in the Super Bowl. People are like, "How could you bet the Super Bowl? It's 2 weeks away." How? What is changing? Well, is there Is there a bus crash that everybody comes out with a broken leg and they're limping?
Somebody breaks curfew. I don't know. So it's
what's that safety for the Atlanta Falcons?
Oh, for the Super Bowl. That's right. Well, yeah, the Raider guy too. The Raider guy got lost in with the drugs.
Yeah. So there you have it. I mean, it's look at your record speaks for itself. I mean, your philosophy works for you, might not work for other people. Some guys are a lot sharper in terms of picking games early. It doesn't work for me. I've tried it in the past to keep the store open, to try to sell more by having the store open, and it ends up costing me in terms of quality of what I put out. It's just depending on your philosophy. I'm not saying Sean is wrong, Jesse is wrong, I'm wrong, or all of us are right. It's just how we do things. And at the end of the day, it's measured by wins and losses. And we all have done well throughout our career when it comes to that category. You can find me at gamblersworld.net or rbwins.com. Major League Baseball run over at gamblersworld.net, now 19-11 since August the 4th. NFL preseason, I may have 1 or 2 plays this week. It'll be very conservative, 6-3 this year, 24-13 since 2021. 79-55 since 2010. That's good for 59%. And then college football, I ended last year on an 18-7 run, which is 72%. And I told you, my NFL in the month of September, I just kill it every year. Can't put my finger on why, but it happens. And like I said, I like to think that the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, if you do this for a living and you study it hard enough, that you're going to have a little bit of edge on the bookmakers, or odds makers, I should say, until they get a handle of things and lines get real sharp. So don't forget, folks, gamblersworld.net. You can get $100 off any of our subscription plans right now through August 30th in college football, the NFL, college football, NFL combined. And you get our personal guarantee at gamblersworld.net. If you don't make a profit on any single game, multi-game, or subscription plan of 30 days or less, your account will get credited the exact amount of your purchase price. And you could use that anytime you want on any handicapper you want. Just because you lost with me doesn't mean you have to stay with me. you can go to Sean or Jesse and vice versa. So you're not married to one handicapper if you initially lose with him. So if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, folks, and I want to thank each and every one of you out there. We passed a milestone yesterday, guys. We went over 10,000 subscribers, and we're very elated with that news. And we're all of us here at the channel, including the owner, Jim Quinn, our graphics guy, and our a guy who does a lot behind the scenes, my man Seth, and all of us that participate in the show. We are extremely appreciative of all your support, and we'll continue to grow and continue to put out as much quality as we can. So if you have not subscribed yet, you'll see a WC logo on the bottom right-hand corner of your video box. If you're watching on a PC, just click that. If you're watching on your mobile device, which most of you are, you'll just see that black subscribe button right underneath your video box. You can't miss it. And it costs you absolutely nothing to subscribe. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. But the one thing I would recommend is you go into your YouTube settings and hit the notification alerts bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. And by doing so, you'll be notified immediately upon us putting any podcast up here on our channel. There's one other thing before Sean has to remind me, which he's done a great job of doing that over the last week and a half or so. Wearing a lot of hats these days, guys. Sometimes you need support, and I certainly get it from these two guys. Jesse, what do we want them to do with the like button right underneath?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you to smash that like button, and please offer your comments below the video.
There you go, folks. An emphatic smash that like button. It's just a small token of your appreciation for the time and efforts that we put in. And Jesse is in Thailand, so it's about 1 o'clock in the morning there, I think. And he just woke up the whole household, and then all the wildlife in the jungles of Thailand just woke up as well. And they're looking for a like button as we speak. In any event, until the next time, we'll be back tomorrow with the same cast of characters, as we'll be talking more college football week 1 action. And until then, for Sean Higgs, Jesse Schule, Ross Benjamin, Mr. Jim Quinn, and my man Seth, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless, folks.